Internet baby.
People who born deaf. How's your inner voice sound? Or you just speak sign language in your head? I asked my niece this. She said she had an inner voice, but it was more a feeling than a voice. She described it as feeling the vibrations from loud music. When she had her surgery, and she heard voices for the first time, her inner voice adapted. I've heard something similar from someone. They said it like the vibrations of music, or just with any sound that is. The only sound she could hear her head were just that. Not deaf, but my brother is. I remember when we were in our teens on a family vacation and I caught him signing to himself when he was bored. The first time I saw it I thought he was telling me something, but I noticed he wasn't making eye contact, and it made no sense. That is when I realized he was thinking to himself. After that, my family and I wouldn't watch when we noticed him doing it, since we figured it wasn't fair to know what he was thinking at times when the same couldn't be said for him. My mom is profoundly deaf, and I asked her this same question, totally not a stupid question. She said she thinks in ASL. I have caught her signing to herself just like I sometimes talk to myself. A neurologist named Oliver Sacks wrote a book called Seeing Voices. It was prescribed reading when I studied South African Sign Language. It might give some insights to your question. In a related tangent, schizophrenia among deaf people is different than for hearing persons. For the first 5 years of my life I was technically deaf. I couldn't hear anything. I remember thinking by closing my eyes and imagining the thing I wanted to think. So I would close my eyes and see my own imaginary world. I can still do it, but only in complete silence. It's a trait I will forever hold, but I'm not mad at it. It can be very helpful in some situations. A lot of people are wondering, so I'll put it in the post. My eardrums collapsed during birth, so when I was around 5 I had a surgery to fix them. Not sure how they did it or if the doctors are still doing it on people, but I'm grateful they did it to me. Man, it's absolutely amazing to me that people don't think up entire worlds in HD when they think. Like that's the only way I think. It should be noted that, even among the hearing, not everyone has an internal monologue. When I was young I asked a relative if she thought in English or Spanish because she was Spanish, but had lived in England for a very long time. She couldn't understand what I was asking her, and ended up getting very upset with me, thinking that I was saying she couldn't speak English. She had no idea that people had an inner voice, and I had no idea that some people didn't. Before I got surgery for my cochlear implant before learning ASL, I don't exactly recall knowing about any mental functionalities, like using a thinking voice. Most of my mental uses were imagining images and visual thoughts. If I wanted a hot dog, I'd visualize a hot dog. Besides that, my dreams were like silent films, and 95% still often are silent even after my surgery to help me hear. After that and being able to hear for some years, at some point, I developed an inner voice, which just doesn't have any clear vocal sound to it. Yet, at the same time, kind of does. Kind of weird, hard to explain. It's a jump between muffled speaking sound as I think, and hollow echoes for my normal thinking voice. And when I read fiction with characters, for those who have preset voiced, I reimagined them in my head as to how they would act it out, and it would sound just like the tone I'd hear from the media they're from. For the stories that aren't adapted into any audio format, I make them up in my head and try to make them sound distinct if I felt like it, haha. My friends, non-psi, have told me they either don't mentally hear anything at all, and have no idea the concept I'm trying to explain, or they visualize floating hands signing to them in their mind space. I don't think in the latter at all, except when there are signs I'm trying to remember a reference. Also, side note BTW, back to my dreams thing, I sometimes dream them with semi-transparent CC subtitles hovering what I'm seeing, sometimes at the bottom or near people's heads like in some video games, just without the speech bubbles. Or none at all, but my dreaming brain narrates my dreams to me, telling me info somehow. If that's a deaf thing though. But I've always found how I dream kind of fascinating. The very rare sounds I hear in my dreams is kind of hard to explain as well. I can't tell if they were close to authentic to a deaf person with hearing that my brain produced for my dream, or just my brain trying to reimagine the sound in my mental voice while I dream. But it felt like there was legit real sound to it, but on the disorienting surreal side. I was 2.5 when I got the surgery, fairly early into my human development, so my time with cognitive learning before that was very limited fuzzy. I do think in clear sentences in my head at my current point in life, sometimes accompanied with pictures, motion pics, like GIFs, sometimes, other times only words. I read aloud the text a lot of things I read. I have to manually force my mind to shut up and read, but then I lose a lot of brain processing information if I read too quickly and don't retain anything I just read. Lol. So I'm a slow reader. I'm not deaf, but when I was learning ASL I began to think in ASL, where essentially I could feel the muscle memory of the signs in my head. For example, without actually moving, think about what it feels like to raise your hand, clench a fist, or write with a pencil. That mental sensation of a recalled muscle movement was how ASL thoughts felt to me. Don't know if this is the same for deaf people, but I found it super intriguing when it started happening to me. I have read that their dreams have people make hand signs. So I guess their mind voice will also be more physical based. I once learned a new language with unique script due to necessity. To increase practice I would mentally write the word I hear to acclimate what letters are there in the word. 10 years hence even now though I don't use that language that much, when someone speaks words I make a mental picture of writing those words. Not sure if those are related, but thought that's how it would work. 50% of the population doesn't have an inner voice and sees everything in picture. So let's say somebody wants to go and get milk. I'll say it out loud in my head, other people will see themselves getting milk. Maybe deaf people have that.